Well, you didn't waste any time following SummerSlam. On 9/3, you're in Budokan Hall wrestling your first match for All Japan since 1987, and you would win the PWF World and International Tag Team titles with your old pal Stan Hansen defeating Toshiaki Kawada and Akira Tao. I've got video of your entrance with Stan, which I included because of this incredible reaction that we're about to see. And we've also got the final moments of the match. It's all in Japanese, so I'm going to narrate it for our listening audience. All right, so we're getting a look inside of the arena right now. And it is a jam-packed house. There are your opponents backstage. Stretching out. And now they've got you backstage with Stan. And you are decked out in your vest and your chaps. Lights go out in the arena. These fans are ready. Listen to that reaction for your entrance music with Stan. Here we go. You and Stan come running into the ring. Stan does not give a single shit. He's waving that that rope around. Does not care who he hits. All right, we flashed ahead here to the final minutes of the match. You're holding the guy for Stan Hansen, but he puts up the boot, catches Hansen with it. He's fighting his way out. You get him with the double axe handle from behind and hit him with an atomic drop. There's the clothesline from Stan. You block his partner. And there's the finish. Yourself and Stan win those PWF World and International Tag Team titles in your first match back with Japan after a 6-year absence. Stan hasn't done yet. He's still wailing on people outside the ring.
Hey, I tease Stan. I mean, I was his partner. And like, you know, when we would go to the ring and he's swinging that rope, you know, and that thing and everything, and it's kind of like, and it sounds crazy, but the fans would actually, it's almost like they wanted to get hit by the rope or something. It was just crazy, but I was kind of like, I'm his partner, and you know, without his glasses on, he can hardly see. And like I'd hold a guy up, you know, for him to, you know, give him the big lariat, you know, and like he'd hit us both. But no, it was good though. It was a great time.
Man, I want to put it in context for our listeners right now. 4 days. That's it. 4 days before this, you were at SummerSlam facing Razor Ramon, and you're wearing all your $1 Million Man gear, and you're that character that we had all become familiar with over 6 years.
Yeah.
4 days later, you're in Japan, and you are, I mean, it's badass. You are dressed in that cowboy gear with the chaps and the vest, and you look like you just transformed right back to the Ted DiBiase of 1987. Just absolutely incredible. How did it feel getting back to Japan in front of that audience?
It was, I loved it. I mean, it was great. It really was.
Man, it's so cool to see. And like, here's the other thing, and this is something I wanted to ask you about ever since I watched that video was, you know, I hear all the time that traditionally Japanese audiences are quiet, respectful, tend to not make very much noise during matches. But like your entrance and then the finish of that, the roof came off the place.
Yeah.
Is that pretty atypical when it comes to Japanese or wrestling in Japan?
Well, I mean, it's kind of like when I first went to Japan. It was very unusual because like the fans, you do something really big and they would go ooh or, you know, like that. But you didn't have that. But over time, the fans in Japan seemed to morph into just like the fans in the United States. It's kind of like it changed. They changed, uh, and and again that we love that as well. So it wasn't always like that, but I mean over the time, it's kind of like they're going to yell and scream and holler too. So
I wonder if it's as Vince's international footprint began to expand and, WWF was being seen in more and more countries, maybe these foreign audiences were seeing the giant reactions on TV and, they start to get into it themselves,
well,
you know?
it could be, and it's like it was kind of like though. Japan is one of those places that, I mean, the wrestling. There were two All Japan Pro Wrestling and New Japan Pro Wrestling, and the reason that I ended up being Stan's partner is like Stan and Bruiser Brody were partners in All Japan, and they were two of the hugest names, and I'm sorry, as far as foreign wrestlers, that came over to Japan.
Yeah.
And when Bruiser jumped and went over to the other company, which that's also very unusual. Like because like loyalty is a big thing over there. Was big news, and so that's when Stan came to me and he says, "I need a new partner." He says, "Do you want the job?" And I said, "Absolutely." And that's when I became the partner and donned the chaps and the whole deal. And It was great.
Huge opportunity in
Huge, yeah,
1987, and
yeah,
now that opportunity is back, and,
yeah, yeah,
you had mentioned before that you were making really incredible money back in '87, and now that offer is back on the table.
yeah.
So, I mean, here you are back here in front of these really hot audiences who missed you, apparently
Right,
for 6
right.
years, and man, couldn't be much better.
Yeah, and that was and I think I made it clear to Vince when I left that I wasn't leaving because I was unhappy or anything, but it was more about I've got to get you know I've got to you know I've got to get my personal life right, and this is
Mhm.
something I have to do for that reason. I need to be home more.